The education sector, that you'll see that yesterday on page 4 of the standard teacher training, hope fizzles out for D students. This is a decision that was arrived at by the Ministry of Education, which has abandoned the quest to lower the minimum entry grades to teacher training colleges. The 2016 minimum entry requirements for trainee teachers set at C+ for degree and C- for diploma course will now remain in force. Last year, it had been reduced to about a D for certificate programs to allow to close the gap, especially in the north. So when you look at the education sector and the challenges that we face in terms of quality and access, and now the northeastern part of the country that has those challenges, teachers who want to run away because of the security scare, does this resolve that? What shall we do?
All right, first of all, for me, I want us to understand, we have to actually have data, we have to be realistic. Do you know why most of our children are getting D? It's because they don't have the requirements to be able to get an A. Mm-hmm. All right? Mm-hmm. First of all, they're probably hungry, they don't have the necessary books, they don't have the families that are conducive to a learning child. This is a child. We're talking about a child who's born into a world of poverty. You don't have everything that you need to actually excel in school. You come from home, there's no food, your father's beating your mother, you sleep hungry, you've probably been sexually abused, and then you expect me to get a C or a C+? No. So we need to actually bring all the Ds and the D minuses, all of them together, and we need to study and understand. Because for me, there's no stupid child. Every child, given the right platform, will excel. That's a human nature. So the thing is, what is that? Is this child dyslexic? Is this child having ADHD? Is this child depressed? Is this child not having the tools of education? So we should make sure that while we're putting guidelines on what students we should have, we should know the numbers that we're saying you cannot proceed higher. Why did they have a problem? And I want to encourage most parents, please allow your child to repeat. Allow your child to repeat. And I want the system to allow children to repeat. Now, the problem is when they ask you to repeat, they make you go to Form 3, not back to Form 4. All right? So you go to Form 3, so you kind of have to do 2 years. I would rather that they're allowed to repeat or to sit the exams again, because I had a cousin whose results were cancelled because the school was accused of cheating. All right? And when her results were cancelled, she was like, I'm done. I'm going to go for secretarial law. I said, no, go back, repeat. Okay? If you really believe that you were clever enough to have done well and your school had the problem, repeat. She repeated. She got very good grades. She went to university. She was on the dean's list. Okay? So I feel that every child, right, has to have the opportunity to continuously excel and improve themselves. All right? We had mathematics. Let me tell you about mathematics. Do you know how many children went through the mathematics examination without the compass set, without the scientific calculator? How did you expect them to perform? How?
So Mheshimiwa Ruguru,
yes, please.
How do we resolve the situation that the northern part of the country finds itself in? So many teachers don't want to be posted there, obviously because of the not just the security situation, but also the situation of basic amenities and basic services. So how do you close that gap?
I think it's not going to be solved by us lowering the minimum entry grade for teachers' colleges. And I think what we need to do is to agree that there is a problem in majority of these countries and pastoralist communities. They are left behind as far as development is concerned. But the issue of security, it cannot be compromised. The last time I checked, my colleague, the Honorable, what do you call him?
Rehema?
No, this guy who, all right, you know him, he's called Sosion. He was complaining and saying that teachers must be protected, and he felt that you cannot be able to evacuate teachers, you cannot be able to allow teachers to be killed in their process of working, and for that purpose you realize that most of our teachers ran away from counties like Garissa, Marsabit, and Wajir towards their home counties. But my point is one, I think the government needs to provide security for these areas because they are Kenyans, and we have people who are living there, and their right to life must be protected.
There's been quite some efforts in terms of security, of course not absolutely sufficient, but beyond that, there's that
I think we need to
perception
capacity build and make sure that students in this area, we encourage them to score minimum of C minuses, and I believe we can be able to do that. Okay. Majority of these areas, they enjoy equalization fund, which most of us, even the 3 counties represented here, Nairobi, Laikipia and Nyeri, we do not receive equalization fund. The government have put in place progressive methods to solve issues of education and matter security in majority of the pastoralist communities areas. But now, when you talk about this community aid do not want to work in areas where maybe they are not born and raised, I think we'll be killing the unity deal, which is bringing Kenyans and making a Kenyan free to work or even do business at whichever part of this country. Okay. So I will uphold the luring, which was made unanimously by all stakeholders, that the minimum entry grade was going to be C+ for a degree and C- for a diploma. And if that's the position, as a legislator, I'm going to support it, and I'll continue asking our students to work very hard in school. And as a government, we make sure that infrastructure and their teachers are paid well, and they have they do not have deficits for the number of teachers who are teaching them. There are so many jobless young Kenyans in this country who can be employed and deployed in any part of this country.
Okay.
You know, I want to just, I just want to interject and say something. The universities have to also come up with a foundation course. If a student has got a D+ and a D, and they can't go directly into the course that has been agreed, can the universities offer a foundation course? Because parents are also having a problem asking their 18-year-old child to repeat. Okay, so can we come up with foundation courses that will last a year, where you examine the child and see whether now they've gotten where they need to be to join a university program? Because most universities in Europe offer foundation courses. So you're not good enough to go into the degree program, but we will take you in and we will get you to the point. And if you don't excel there again, you're out.
Okay.
But if you excel in the foundation course, you go forward. My take is we need more students to have an education. We say education is power. So we cannot drop them. Okay, we have to find a way to still embrace them and take them forward.
Okay.
I mean, you know, education competes also internationally. And they looked at the case of Norway, where they take their best students to teaching. Here we did the reverse. For the longest, we took not our best students to teaching, and the same with the police. In fact, if you got a D, people used to joke, where utakuwa polisi. And now you can see where we are with some of those sectors, with the jokes that we have played about in the country. The fact that Northeastern has problems of security doesn't mean that they are entitled to inferior teachers. I think that Northeastern should get just as good teachers as everybody else. Yeah. So there is a case for security, but there is also a case for investment in education. Our country is not yet where we want to be in terms of education, and then now the regional disparities. You find schools are still far, you know, far apart from each other. So that investment needs to go on. But I think the concern is more security. So although the minister came out as an education issue, I think the concern is security. If there is security, there will be a lot of people with the requisite grade to teach in the Northeastern schools. And education is a right in our constitution. Indeed. So all right of the children are entitled to that right.
I want to commend the leaders of Northeastern. They've come together with the government, and they have a program which is going to be funded by World Bank. Now, in the same light that we talked about corruption, I think it is important that this program that is going to be funded by the World Bank, which is a lot of money, be let out, and the people in the region get to know. Because I believe that when you economically empower and the region starts coming up, you will also not have a situation where people don't want to be there or go there or work there. Because once you economically empower, you will have less and less incidences of crime. Because as I said, poverty breeds crime, and corruption breeds poverty, poverty breeds crime. So the kind of insecurities that we're having is because of the poverty and the neglect over the years. But I believe that we're getting that right in terms of funding that will see us economically empower the area, and you might find that a lot of people will be migrating back to Northeastern from the city, because they will see that, wow, our region is coming back and it's coming up.
But don't you find a problem with that? The World Bank is facilitating that program. This country has a government, and there are county governments in that region.
No, it is, as I said, I commended the leadership of Northeastern and the government for realizing that we have this issue and we need to resolve it, and it starts from economic empowerment. Because don't forget, it's the poverty. When you have prosperity, you will have very little crime. It is the poverty that breeds the crime. you know, because people then get recruited into all these groups and then you have insecurity. So for me, I think they're on the right track. But then again, let's not let corruption go into all those projects. Northeastern leaders get this money and transform Northeastern. We will find ourselves probably saying we can even have our parliament out there because it is a safe haven, because Nairobi is too congested. And for me, I honestly feel that there is a way that we can develop as a country, as one unit. And every part of Kenya should be able to have a prosperity program.
Okay.
There are advantages of having the World Bank.
Just before you go, Azi Cocktail on Twitter is saying that the government of Kenya is mandated to offer quality education, but it concentrates more on Bora Masomo and not Masomo Bora. Dave Ovid says that university minimum entry points should be determined according to regions and educational resources accessed by students. So I don't know whether we need to have a quota system when you are treating different regions based on their contextual realities that they face. Your point?
No, I think that all children are just entitled to quality education, period. And then now you work on quality education across how to achieve that. But one of the reasons why I personally like the World Bank, you know that with this our corruption is really now cancerous. So when you have the World Bank there, you feel a bit happier because World Bank has dealt with corruption within its circles over the years. The disclosure policies at the World Bank, the accountability mechanisms at the World Bank. World Bank is a place where if you are accused of corruption, you walk out of your desk, you leave your phone, you leave everything, you walk out of your office. And that is what we want. So I'm happy that the World Bank is on there because again, what we have seen with the funds that are reserved for those counties is a lot of funding going into those counties and nothing improving. The sort of 7 years of devolution now. We should see a change in the northeastern counties. The 10 years of CDF, we should see a change. So there's also a bit of a problem of how they're using their money and a bit of problem with roads and other networks that we need for security. But having the World Bank is a good I think we have more problems. And then now the qualities of that equalization of education. I want the minister, and I hope that the minister spends a lot of time on that because Al-Shabaab and radicalization and all of those problems are again a failure of education systems. So that education system has got to work.
Even beyond the three counties of the Northeastern.
I think I'll cite similar problems in Laikipia. Like the county, Laikipia West constituency, the member of parliament has more than 200 primary schools in one constituency. Now, an area with maybe less than even 15,000 voters is receiving 110 million shillings for CDF, and the equivalent of 200,000 registered voters, or even more than even 8 wards, is receiving similar amount of money. So you always realize Mount Kenya region, and starting with Laikipia, we are even doing badly more than even some counties in Northeastern.
Please hold that thought because we need to listen to Tabitha Dukir from Narok. Tabitha, good morning. What's your question to the panelists?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to contribute on this issue of D's for our school leavers who want to join the teaching fraternity. Surely it would be a shame for someone who is going to teach a student who is supposed to get an A.
Yeah.
I think Amina should have thought it twice, at least to put it at a C class. Even the minors I'm seeing there, it's still low, especially from where I come from, Narok. Okay, we have a low turnout of students going to school. At least a place like Narok, we could have put at least a C minus, that C minus. But the D that Amina gave us, it's too low. It's very low.
Okay.
We have some of. I know a country where to be a teacher you have to get a degree. Yeah. But surely this is failing all our education sector.
All right, thank you, Tabitha. Tabitha is talking of a teacher who scored a C+ is supposed to teach someone to score an A-plane. Quite interesting, but also speaks to the point of differentiating the counties that we have. Like she says that Narok should have a qualification of a C-, but of course that's what you're saying that you're against. I don't know how we resolve all that.
I think we need a standard grade. You cannot talk about regions. Otherwise, you tribalize this country, and regions will start competing against each other.
Okay.
You know, it's the same case with what I was talking about, the equalization fund, where some counties qualify more than others, and even others attract zero. And I think the thought around the CDF and the thought around one man, one vote, and now even that brings in the conversation around census. We need to make sure that we qualify the investments which we do towards our infrastructure based on the number of people, the number of students, and the demand in any given area.